Let's move over and talk about another piece of news and notes. Steelers insider Ray Fittipaldo was on 93.7 The Fans morning show earlier today, and he provided an update on wide receiver Roman Wilson, saying, quote, his situation certainly bears watching. Obviously, he's a third-round pick. They're going to carry him on the 53-man roster, but if you're a rookie and you don't play in any preseason games, depending on what else goes on with this roster, I think he's a candidate to start on injured reserve. Roman Wilson on injured reserve, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a massive loss for the Steelers if it happens. He said that he will not play in the third preseason game, but expects to be back eventually. It's just tough. Ankle sprains could last forever. You just don't know how long it's going to be. It's a major loss if he is not out there for the start of the season. And I expected an accumulation period or an acclimation period, of Roman Wilson coming in here, slowly building himself up into the starting lineup or to that backup role behind Calvin Austin, and then continuing to work his way into the mix. This is tough. It's tough for a couple of reasons. For one, now you're going to turn to another guy as a backup, maybe a Scotty Miller on the inside, maybe a Dez Fitzpatrick. It's not ideal. He's missing out on special teams. He's missing out on development. And if the Steelers don't add a Brandon Ayuk or another name out there, you're really looking at a very slim, very, very slim wide receiver depth chart. I would say this, if Roman doesn't start the season on the active roster and the Steelers don't go get a Brandon Ayuk, Juju becomes like very real for this team. And obviously he's real to begin with, but like he becomes a pretty big option for them because he could play the slot and fill that role, especially at the start of the season. And then you can make it work when Roman Wilson does come back without any added pressure to get him up to speed as quickly as possible, because the more time he misses, the longer that acclimation period's got to be when he does come back. I expect this to be a huge loss for the Steelers if it happens. Let's talk about game time. I could still taste the popcorn and the soda and smell the beer of my first Pittsburgh Steelers game. And yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars might have won that day, but I will never forget how loud Heinz Field was and how rocking that stadium was on the North Shore. Game Time has this new feature called Game Time Picks that makes things like getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I have an upcoming concert in Cleveland the day after the Pittsburgh Steelers play against the Browns, and instead of sitting there clicking on every single section, I'm just going to use Game Time Picks. Let's talk about why it's so great. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. On top of that, you get all-in pricing, which means that you get the total cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout. On top of that, you get seat views, because nobody wants to buy some nosebleed seats for cheap and take a guess on whether you're staring at a pole or you just got the greatest deal in the entire venue. Plus, the lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time ticket coverage means that your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code ALLSTEELERS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code ALLSTEELERS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, low prices, guaranteed.
Yeah, the Steelers took a gamble this offseason. Omar Khan took a gamble this offseason when he traded away Deontay Johnson without really a succession plan in place. And he's still taking a gamble by being in this entanglement with Brandon Ayuk and the San Francisco 49ers instead of going a different direction and trying to fill that hole somewhere else. And a big part of that gamble was, well, at least coming into camp, we have a rookie in Roman Wilson that won a national championship. He's going to come in. We expect him to hit the ground running. He's going to be a rookie. He's going to have his rookie lapses, but they expected him to be a big part of this season. The fact that now he has missed all of training camp and will potentially miss the first 4 weeks of the season if he goes on IR, it is a devastating blow to what their plans were. And it goes a long way in saying their gamble might not have paid off. Again, there's still some stones that need unturned, but as of right now, it's not looking great for what Omar Khan did in the wide receiver room.
Yeah, I agree. It's tough times, and I expect changes to happen. I don't expect the Pittsburgh Steelers to walk into the season with what's going on, but you're dead on. Like, the Steelers could have had an excuse in Roman Wilson to not try and fix a very tough situation, one that didn't turn out the way that they hoped it did. Now that excuse is gone and things look worse, because if you walk into the season with George Pickens, Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin, and a bunch of nobodies behind them, you're in a very, very tough spot if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. So right now, not looking good. Let's hope for the best. But if it's not, I would expect a name like Juju Smith-Schuster to almost be a definite addition to this roster. If not him, somebody else of his caliber who could play the slot. But I don't expect that to be as it is moving forward. I expect them to add somebody somewhere, because while you're waiting for Roman, you need more help.
Yeah, I agree. And when you look at Juju, I understand that it's underwhelming considering what the conversation has been, but at the same time, for what he does, kind of does fit with Arthur Smith, right? He's a physical receiver that likes to run block, and that's what the Steelers have kind of accumulated throughout the offseason. It might fit the mold, especially if he's a holdover just until Roman Wilson gets back, gets his feet underneath him, and gets into that slot position.
Yeah, 100%.